guess what we're doing? We're doing a little bit more writing today. You want to know what's going on? Well, let's talk about it. Man, I wish this, like, tiredness would leave me. But it never does it? Either the clothes fit me right. So, what's going on? We are in the midst, as you could say, of... I had broken down the book as I'm doing some reading. And, where did I put them? I broke them down into this. Each chapter I'm giving kind of a theme, if you will. So we have what I'm calling, this would be, remember that fucking thing I've been telling you about for quite a while? I was like, man, I'm stuck in this cave. I gotta remember to wipe my mustache. Man, I'm stuck in this cave and I don't know what to do, this and that. Well, I finally got out of the cave, as I told you, finally. And now we're moving on to the next part of the story. So we got the descent, where from that point he descends into the deepest, darkest parts of his own doubt. From that point we have the labyrinth. After the labyrinth we have meeting of the Maker. Then we have him coming out of all of that and trying to save his friends, and then the ending climax. So the story is finally moving forward. I've been, as I told you before, I wrote the book 2, the first draft. I started it last Halloween. It is now December, a year and a couple months later. And we kind of slowly went through it a little bit. And in many ways, I guess you have to understand it, as I've always said, it mirrors my own life. And the beginning of Eris's journey in book 2 is so ethereal, and he's been kind of stuck in this very strange place. It's a very strange experience for him, and at the same time he's kind of coming to terms with who he really is and what he's really meant to do, and all this fucking shit. And as you've seen in the previous videos, I was like, man, I've been stuck in this cave. I've been stuck in this... I keep calling it a cave, but it's this temple, this derelict temple. And he's been stuck here prostrate. He's been stuck here in his own mind and trying to dwell on all this shit. And he just doesn't know what to do. And it's the whole ass thing. And so, as that's where I was too. Just kind of dwelling on, like, what the fuck am I meant to do? Who am I? What exactly happened to me? All this kind of shit. I finally got Eris and myself out of that. We finally did it, man, because we're just sitting there with it. I'm going to eventually have to go back to it again, but whatever. So as of now, I'm finding a way to get into this next segment where you realize that you're in this derelict place, this ancient temple. But then it clicks to you what this temple really is and what you must really do. So what I like to do now is I like to handwrite my way through things. Blank piece of paper, no lines, go through it. It allows me to slow my mind down a little bit as I can figure that out. And I'm trying to come to this realization with my character of, like, okay, if you're going to descend into the idea of descending into your own doubt of self and coming into your own body, and it's going to slightly mirror the dream that he had. Okay, so you have to, in his dream, go into this sacred, I guess we could just say cave network of ideas to come to terms with your own God inside of that. Well, you come out of that vision, this is where I was always jarred. I'm like, I just don't know if readers are going to get this shit. Because coming out of a vision like that, he revisits it with the help of a spiritual aid, revisiting a dream, and now he's got to do it in a sense in real life, though it's much different. It's not as luminous as the dream was. It's not as clear. It's a lot more distorted and stuff. Whereas in the dream, the cave network was full of shrines, and it was full of endless amounts of candles and flower petals everywhere, and it was a very sacred place. Well, he's about to descend into the absolute darkness, where the only light he has is of himself. And I've equated it to going into his own doubt. A lot of the things I'm going to start to be thinking about would take part of mythology, take the role of it, and crikey, I have to really start rereading. Pardon the Joseph Campbell's Hero of a Thousand Faces. I have a couple more of his books and stuff, but we've come to this point now where we need to come to terms with all that we've doubted in the past. We've come to terms with all that has happened to us and what we are, and try to find new meaning. And so Eris himself is going to descend into this dark place to find new meaning, to be reborn. Now, it's going to be a very crucial fucking section of the book. What I'm most excited about is how this is all going to play out. You know what I mean? What's going to come of all this? That's exciting. Because this is just Eris's part of the book, man. I haven't even begun to work on Nahkum, Jal and Vasha, Cypherus, and... is that the only viewpoints that I have? I don't remember. I think that's really it. Oh, yeah. Aya. I don't even know her yet. So it's many different stories all happening at the same time, and I've just been focusing on one. And I'm a very slow worker. The older I get, the more I realize that I do not like working. You know, I can maybe work for a couple hours tops, and I'm done. I can't fucking handle it. It's too much for me. I just despise work. Even if it's monumentous work, even if it's really important work. I just don't like doing it, man. I'm a lazy person. But I know that it's crucial, and I also know that time is irrelevant. The fact that I finished this book in 1 year as opposed to 1 month doesn't mean shit to anyone that's lived 15 years away from that. It doesn't mean shit how long it took. It's about what the product is. My goal was never to do this as fast as I can so I can get published, so I can be known, so I can make money, and so I can... I don't know. I don't have that goal. I want to do this right. And so that means I'm going to take my time doing it. I'm going to hone my skill at the same time. There's going to be a lot of things that I don't finish. There's going to be a lot of things that I try and take my time on. It leads to a lot of dead ends and stuff. And the shit I focus on, that's going to be very crucial to me in the coming narrative that I seek to explore. I don't think in my lifetime I'll ever be a known author. I just don't see that as a possibility. At this rate. At this fucking rate that I am been going. You know? It took me, what, 12 years to almost complete one book? And I'm working on book 2 now, and I'm about a year and a couple months in. Like, I'm a little faster now, but it's just... I'm not gonna be, nor do I want to be, famous for this shit. I want the story to speak for itself. I want the exploration of character through the lens of myself to be that which stands, I guess you could say, the test of time. I'm not really a fan of that saying, but you know what I mean. So I've more than accepted the fact that I'm gonna die probably body broken, you know, from my job, forgotten and depressed. It's inevitability. That's just what it is. And that's okay, because the idea is what lives on after you. To me, the story of Eris and the story of this book is incredibly crucial to the development of my human thought and what I can contribute to human thought. I feel like mankind has kind of forgotten a lot of things. We've moved so fast, we want this technology so badly that we're willing to abandon our humanity to obtain it, trying to be our own gods. And I'm trying to reel that back in and say, like, you know, what have you forgotten along the way? What is it to be a human being and to explore certain things, to have had certain experiences, and how does that affect you? Who are you necessarily? So that's been my major goal here. And it's kind of difficult, man. Like, there's not really a blueprint too much except for my own lived experience. But even that's marked by what could happen and what will happen in the book. Now, I don't know what will come from all this. I may never be known for what I'm doing. This may be all for naught. This book might be lost and everyone's like, well, we don't even know what it was about. And if that's the case, well, that fucking blows. I will try my best to make sure that doesn't happen. I should like laminate each piece of paper. Just laminate it all. You know? That way it's like, it'll take a longer time for it to degrade. Till the adhesion goes away. But yeah, so it's like, it's hard for me to really rush myself at this. So that's why I kind of felt, well, it's beneficial to have these recordings where I can kind of tell you, give you some glimpses on the inside of this. So you know, like, yeah, during this time he was writing his book. Here's the shit he was saying during it. So here's what we can kind of think is going on inside of it. What is the character in his relation to the author? And you can be able to see this story kind of balance itself out. In many ways, I still feel like a foolish young boy with some of my thoughts. They're very juvenile. I don't know if I even have any profound thoughts necessarily. I just have different ways I look at things, but I don't necessarily think I have anything profound that I've even said yet. Again, many interesting, fascinating things, but nothing that important. But I try my best to mirror that existence that I see around me. The interactions I see between people, the realizations that folks come to, the things you guys talk about, how you move around, how you just exist, and how you find meaning in that existence. And I will admit, a lot of the times I look at it as lesser because I see the way thought forms act upon people, and I'm not a big fan of them. And I've had my own theses about it. I've had my own ideas. How consciousness could be just a multitude of thought forms passing from one to another. And their true source is the archetypal gods that existed in the past. That's where consciousness comes from. That's why religion is always an important part of humanity. Even if you don't think it is, like science, it's still a religion. I like to believe that the human consciousness is some sort of passing specter that moves through all of us and that has its home in archetypes, whether they be earthly gods, sky gods, or you name it, cosmic, tree, from every level. I think there are archetypal beings and we are a host to them. And it kind of has been working through us for a long time. I could say shit like that, but most people won't fucking give a flying fucking Christmas tree about it. It's just nothing to them. They're like, whatever. Congratulations. But I just thought it was really important to just kind of chronicle a lot of the beliefs that I have. I don't know necessarily why I feel so compelled to do it, but I feel like you got to do this. Just chronicle your thoughts while you're working on your stuff. See where that kind of gets you and work from that point. Other than that, I don't necessarily know why. We could equate it to ego if you like. I don't give a fuck. It don't mean shit to me. Because I don't know, man. I want to make sure that I've everything that I've realized that I can kind of say. For instance, I was I was pondering at the idea of like, why do I look down on so many human things? Human thoughts, they're thought forms that everyone seems to have, their belief systems, from politics to religion to philosophy to culture to, you name it. Why am I so avoidant of all that? Why do I see it all as lesser, And in many ways, it's because I kind of look at people and see how easily swayed and manipulated they are. It almost like angers me, where I'm like, you just will believe anything, won't you, if it feels good? If it slightly mirrors some sort of fucking thing in you, it's real now all of a sudden, magically. And there's so many beliefs, like, from religion is a big one that happens around me because I live in the country, and religion is a huge fucking thing. Ain't nobody talking about fucking politics out here. Or excuse me, philosophy. It's religion and politics. I said that wrong. That's the biggest fucking thing out here. That's all everyone fucking talks about. And I find it to be annoying, because I find it to be so small-minded. And the reason I would say it's small-minded is because what are you going to do? And and you magically know, right? Because you heard some other guy fucking say this, and you like that he said it, now because he's right. Like, it's very small-minded, and I just find that shit very ignorant. And so I get kind of irritated with people. I just say, fuck these people, man. Just a bunch of followers, Or like the people's pretentiousness. There was a bookstore that I went to in a city called Ann Arbor, in the state that I live in. It's a bigger city. To me, it's the biggest city I've been in a long time. And I went into the bookstore, and there was this chick who owns it. I guess she owns it. Never really talked to her. To describe her, she's like, I guess a colored lady, a black lady, and then, if I can guess, I don't really know. It's hard to tell anymore. And maybe she's gay. I don't know. Or just really autistic. It's hard to tell. And so she owned it, and there was this woman interviewing her for some sort of fucking, I don't know, she was some sort of journalist, and she was your stereotypical fucking, like the way she talked about gender and the way she talked about women's, contribution to society, it came across very assy, and her nose was kind of up, and she was very snotty kind of acting. And it kind of just turned me off, and I'm like, wow, it blows my mind how much you know. How much you say you know. Basically, the shit she was repeating was the same things you hear just a stereotypical feminist. If you type in feminist, what's the one that they always make fun of? That's what this one was acting like. They exist, man. And it was like so assy. And it was coming across very, like, supremacy kind of stuff. You know how people get when they have their little ideas, whether it's about color or gender or sexual orientation, they turn to like supremacists about it. And like just hearing her, it just made me go like, golly, I don't know why you exist. You know what I mean? Like, you're just this carbon copy, cut and dry, made piece of thing inside of an idea that is the factory of mankind, and you just repeating the shit you heard because it makes you feel good, makes you feel stronger, makes you feel more in control. Now, not to say that women should feel that way, because I think they should. I adore women immensely. I just think going about it in a very negative way is maybe not the best way to go about it. And that's where a lot of my anger comes in, or a lot of my irritation of how people are. If you want to build your race up, your gender or orientation up, I wouldn't do it through hate. You know what I'm saying? Because then you build it on the foundation of hate, and then you turn into a supremacist, and then you basically become the dictator of thought, and all of a sudden you are the very thing you pretended you were against. The thing you said was happening to you, you were the one that was doing it to yourself the entire time. You held yourself down at that point. And like, it becomes obvious when you look at it like that, but they just don't see it because they're saying what they're told to say, how they're told to say it. That's one tiny little explanation of something I noticed. And that's what I mean when I say, like, I just get so irritated with fucking people and their little opinions and what they think shit is. It's like, when have you said something that's of you? Why do you keep saying shit that everyone else is saying? There's a group of people out there, in this instance for this woman we'll call a feminist. You just took all their ideals and put it in the book of your life and said, now then I believe this and this is also me. Like, that's what you're gonna do? You're not gonna be your own person, you're gonna be what they want you to be? You're a tool. You don't see that? They don't give a fuck about you. I know a guy who was a, I'm not gonna give people's names away, but I know a guy who was a staunch communist. Believed it most of his life, his adult life, his thinking life, and was so involved with it. And then finally he saw, like, holy fuck, they never cared about me. The idea of American communism, you know, the guys on the internet and all their shit. He realized they never give a fuck about him. And they don't ever care. You're just adding and swelling their numbers, and they're going to use you like pawns. And it's like, I remember feeling like, holy shit, I'm so happy that he realized that. That you aren't just some thing to add to someone else's bullshit. You aren't some fucking little piece in a big puzzle. Like, dude, don't think of yourself like that in the terms of other people's major thought forms. You aren't that. You can do that shit in certain aspects of society, and it does serve a greater purpose. Because, as my wife pointed out to me yesterday, the idea of as human beings, we will always structure this pyramidal system. The smaller group of people at the top with the greatest power, and the less, everyone at the bottom with the least amount of power but the most force, the pyramid scheme, it will always be in. When you destroy one, another will replace it. Biggest example, look at fucking the revolution in France. You kill the monarchy because you thought they were doing so many bad things. Then you replace it with the evil that happened afterward. It's the same fucking thing, just different clothes are on different people. And they're saying something slightly different, but the same outcome. And it kind of clicks to me why I always try to separate myself away from all that. Because I see all these things and how it controls people, and I'm like, I don't want to be a part of that. So I would isolate myself from it and try to figure out what I know. If I stumble upon works of Nietzsche, I'm not going to take it, and then I believe Nietzsche. I'm just going to fucking believe that because it makes sense. What am I going to do with that information? What does it do with me? That journey that I just described in probably fucking 10 plus minutes is what the book is. It's me saying, and so here's my existence in the world and my confusion and how I felt. Here's how I found myself instead of taking part. Because Eris in the story is told, you're part of the prophecy. You're going to do this, you're going to do that. You have to do these things. You're the savior. You're all this fucking shit. So go ahead and do it. And he's like, what if? What does that mean? And do I have any control over that? And if I do, why do I have to follow people's prophecies? Just because I have, let's use a Skyrim reference here. Just because I have the power of the Dragonborn, and I can absorb dragon souls, I think that's what it was, and somehow I will defeat the most evil highest dragon, does that mean I should? Or maybe is there more to this? Do you know what I'm saying? Just because I'm Luke Skywalker and I'm the son of Anakin Skywalker and I have the Force and I can help my father bring balance to this Force, does that mean I should? Or is that a small-minded view? Do you know what I'm saying? I know that I don't know a whole lot about modern mythology, so I can only give you Star Wars and Lord of the Rings, but in Lord of the Rings, is destroying the ring the greatest thing to do? It seems maybe it's small-minded. What if there's more to it? Do you know what I'm saying? Not to use it, but why was it created? What was the point of its creation? What purpose did that serve? What exactly is it? Why is there such thing as evil? What exactly is evil? Evil to you? Evil to me? And so, because you're not part of thought forms, you're able to like look at shit equally. You could call it empathy if you like, where it's just like you can pull yourself away from the world that's happening in front of you, and you're just in the distance and you're just looking at everything. He said this is evil, but this guy's doesn't think it's evil. In fact, the only reason he's doing it is because he's trying to save his family. Is that evil? Save your family at any cost? I don't see that as evil. Well, it is to this guy, because that guy's family died because of this guy. So now he's evil. I'm like, okay, it's interesting. That's what I've always done in my life, and that's what I try to make Eris mirror. Like, how do you determine this stuff? Just because it's prophetic, just because it feels right, doesn't mean it is. You think you're enacting change for the world around you, but what if you're enacting the wrong kind of change? What if you're the very evil that you say you're against? I feel like I'm gonna sneeze. And so the journey of Eris is very much that way. So like right now, I say he's gonna go, he got out of this mindset of what the fuck am I supposed to do and who am I? And he's gonna go down to the deepest part of himself in the physical world after he's done it in the physical world, the immaterial world. He's already done it there. So now he goes into the material world, and he's gonna complete this trial, you could say. And by his side are the people of the past that have determined the outcome of mankind. It's up to him to decide if he wants to just play the game and do what he's told, be a good boy and bring balance to the world, or maybe let it all fall away and say, like, maybe we weren't meant to be doing any of this. That's his choice. If I'm gonna have a choice, it's gonna be a fucking choice. So that's why I thought it was crucial, is to give you just an idea of what it's like to be someone who looks at life as someone would probably term me as a nihilist, as a separationist or a isolationist. What is that person's thought process, and how do they feel about the world around them? I'm gonna fucking show you what that's like, so you can realize how destructive people's games are and how easily they can be convinced that it all fucking matters. But anyway, time to return to the work, and we'll see exactly what we get done, because I gotta take a shit too.